You are squinting at a restaurant menu, pushing it farther away, then pulling it back, hunting for the one distance where the words stop slipping out of focus. It feels like a small annoyance. You take out your glasses, put them on, and everything is in focus. Such an easy fix. Some clever person probably invented them. Then everyone copied the idea, and from there the technology just kept improving. But that is not what happened. Long before glasses sat on anyone's nose, people were already using magnifying reading stones. And when eyeglasses finally did appear, no verified inventor's name came with them. That knowledge gap for such a modern invention seems wild. Let's look at the shift enabled by optical technology. It was social. It changed who got to keep reading, keep working, and keep their place once age started taking their close vision away. The first step was much simpler than a pair of frames. Around 1000 AD, and possibly earlier, people were using reading stones, ground, polished lenses made from materials like rock crystal, beryl, or glass. You set the flat side directly on a manuscript page, and the text underneath grew larger. Not wearable, not elegant. But it worked. Secondary histories of vision aids describe monks using them, which makes sense. If your life revolved around handwritten pages, a tool that made letters bigger was not a luxury. It was time bought back. Picture the practical problem. By your early to mid-40s, the American Optometric Association says bad eyesight typically starts to show up. Near text gets harder to focus on. For a scribe or scholar, that was not a nuisance at the edge of the day. It was a threat to the work itself. So, an aging reader leans over a page, slides a polished stone across the lines, and keeps going. That is the precursor to glasses usually forgotten, and it stayed that way for roughly 2 to 3 centuries before framed spectacles appeared. That is what makes the history so strange. Humanity had part of the solution in hand for generations before anyone turned it into something you could wear. Then, in 1306, a Dominican monk in Florence named Giordano da Pisa gave the one surviving testimony. He said the art of making spectacles had been found less than 20 years earlier, and that he had personally met the person who first discovered it. He did not name them. So, the most important early witness to eyeglasses tells you 2 things at once. The breakthrough was recent, and the inventor is still missing. From that sermon, historians usually place the emergence of true eyeglasses roughly in the 1280s, most likely in central Italy, around Pisa or Florence. The new device used 2 convex lenses joined together in a frame. Now the magnification moved with your face instead of staying stuck to the page. It feels so obvious today, but everything around you was once invented by men. Early spectacles were crude, 2 lenses riveted together at the bridge so they could grip the nose. The earliest known painted depiction shows up in a 1352 fresco cycle by Tommaso da Modena in Treviso. The earliest surviving physical examples, found under the floorboards of Kloster Wienhausen convent in Germany, date to around 1400. Even those details come with wrinkles. The fresco shows Cardinal Hugh of Provence wearing spectacles, but he died long before spectacles existed, so the image is a retrospective invention, not a snapshot of real life. That is how murky this history still is. The objects are real. The trail around them is uneven. One thing we know for sure, demand skyrocketed after invention. Venice became a major spectacle-making center using Murano glass, and by 1301 the sale of spectacles there was already regulated. By 1320, Venice had a dedicated spectacle makers guild. Then the reading world widened again. Printing spread. Books multiplied. Regular reading was no longer concentrated as tightly inside religious life. Merchants, clerks, printers, and other workers now had daily reasons to stare at small text for hours. In England, that broader reading culture was eventually matched by formal trade organization, culminating in a 1629 royal charter for London's Worshipful Company of Spectacle Makers. The market had moved beyond the monastery, but even then, glasses were still inconvenient. Before the 18th century, spectacles had no rigid arms. You held them up, balanced them uneasily on the nose, or tied them on with ribbon. They helped, but they did not yet stay with you naturally through the whole day. Then came another practical leap. Rigid, hinged temple arms that hook over the ears are commonly credited to the London optician Edward Scarlett around 1727. That change sounds minor until you imagine the difference in use. A tool you sometimes raise to your face is one thing. A tool that stays there while your hands keep working is another. Glasses did not just correct eyesight. They decided which aging scholars, monks, and merchants could keep working and reading, and that decision reshaped who held knowledge and influence in medieval Europe. That is why this history matters. At every stage, from the reading stone to the riveted pear to the temple arm, the pressure came from the same human fact. Readers age, and their eyes change before their minds or their skills do. So the next time you hold that menu at arm's length and then casually put on your glasses to solve the problem, you are handling the descendant of a tool that once decided whether an experienced reader stayed useful. You pull the words back into focus. Such a simple tool can help you avoid early retirement and continue as a productive part of society.